What do I think of men who hate women? It's always funny how some of you all structure your questions. It's like you're trying to trap somebody, or always phrase your questions in some sort of persecutory manner. But interestingly enough, I was going to make a video, or actually I did make the video. I just never got around to posting it because I was dealing with this stuff going on with the boomers, which, people seem to like that conversation. But I made that video. The video was titled, what the hell was it titled? Revenge of the Nerds and Bitter Baby Mamas, something like that. Because I started noticing there's two things, and I'm gonna leave all of this for the other video, but like when it came to the guys, I noticed that there was a lot of guys that, they not even a lot, like they pop up in my comment section every once in a while. I see them on other people's pages as well. Red pill and black pill are not the same thing, and I stated this in the video that I did. But it's like, the guys that can't even acknowledge, like, example, that Six the Goddess is attractive. Like, you doing too much at that point, bro. Like something's wrong with you. And then they want to get into we can't validate her and she's a single mother. Like I'm like, that has nothing to do with her beauty, bro. It has nothing to do with how she looks. So they can't compartmentalize and separate things out and then judge it or view it, on its own. Just something just really simple and really objective as beauty, right? And so that leads into the men that hate women. And then the bitter baby mamas, that's just the fact that many of these women that are online that are bitching and complaining, they have babies that they already had, they're single moms, they got with Ray Ray and Pookie or a Dusty, and they're mad. And so they come online and they want to act like all black men are all the same, when again they only wanted like 10 to freaking 20% of dudes. And that's who they dealt with, right? I mean, you can't run around and say, this segment of black men are mad that they just can't get the pussy, and then turn around and then claim that, all black men are out here running through bitches, getting them pregnant and leaving their kids. I'm like, yeah, you mean like the 10 to 20% of them. It's actually somewhere around 15 to 16%. That's the actual number, right? Because I think it's 54% of black men are not married, or we can go with, not married and no kids, 54%, and then the 30% are married, and then 15% is what you got left over. It's about 15%. That's the reality. So you got, dudes that hate women on one side because, they're not what women want. They're not tall, they're not handsome, gain fame, money, or looks. And then on the other side, you got the women that are already mad, already bitter, sometimes for the same reasons. They're not attractive, because we all know how much, men hyper focus on, attractiveness. A lot of the black pillars will say that the women are no better than the men in that regard, and everybody wants an attractive person. So they don't want to let women off the hook in that regard. These are the guys that run around and talk about genetics. And the genetic argument always is funny to me, because I'm like, to the black pills, I'm like, okay, fuck it, let's go with genetics. And I'm saying, let's say a woman actually has solid genetics, like the ones that you actually want to get with. Why would they want to mix their genes with your genes? I'm just saying, if we want to go with it's genetics, it's all about the genetics. Like, okay, let's go with that. Like, what do you want them to do? You want them to mix their genes with your genes so that they can have a child that's unattractive and go through what you're going through? No. And unfortunately, like, that's the nasty, reality of, Mother Nature and the sexual market. There's no fairness in the sexual market. The sexual market is savage. It's savage. And this is how evolution works. And I think that's part of the problem, because these sort of ideas from a societal standpoint about fairness and justice and righteousness, they don't apply in the sexual market. And a lot of people, they can't wrap their heads around that. And the sexual market isn't even something that like you can squarely define. There's certain general concepts that we can look at, like men want young, beautiful women who are not fat. Women want, tall, well-built men that have money and resources. Like those, that's like the obvious shit. That's the general shit that we can all safely say that if you took an exam, you'd be 90% correct on your assessment. And then you got all the other weird shit where people got different fetishes, women who like dad bods, the difference between the men who like skinny chicks, the men who like slim thick chicks, the men who like pear-shaped women, you know what I'm saying? Like the men who like, spice Cajun type women. Like, it's all over the place. So it's not like we can say, this segment of people don't fit into, the mainstream criteria, but there's still back doors all over the place. And a lot of people want to downplay that or ignore that. A back door is not the main entrance. The back door is a single frame door. It's not a double frame door. So yeah, it's a smaller door and it's a smaller percentage of people who are going to get in the back door. But in my opinion, everybody pretty much has a back door. I mean, there's definitely been women that even I've been attracted to that, I know in my back of my mind, I'm like, she is not the most beautiful woman, but I'm like, hey, I totally dig it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm into this, right? And this is where you get like, the weird, goofy looking porn stars. Like, give me a porn stars. Who's that porn star that was goofy, like back in the day, like in the 90s? Kaylin. I think it's Kaylynn, right? She did a bunch of porno with Mandingo and shit like that. Kaylin is a goofy looking white woman. She goofy looking. What's another one? Another goofy looking chick that dudes get all into. Claire Vance or Claire Black. She's another nerdy looking, in other words, they fit that nerd category, that nerd fantasy, that fucking the librarian fantasy. These are not, amazingly beautiful women. Give me a black chick. A tiger safari or safari tiger with the little bubble butt. Oh, I get off on her all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? Not every day, but I'm just saying, like there's a lot of people, they'll sit there and they'll be like, oh, she's ugly, she's this and she's that, and funny thing is I think she had a baby. But anyway, I'm saying she got the bubble butt, she's skinny. A lot of people rag on her face and everything, but I've seen a couple videos of her where she gets dolled up and, she looks cute enough. And I'm like, hey, I dig it. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, there's always back doors. There's always, and I'm saying, porno, I hate bringing up porno, but I'm saying, does that not highlight the back doors? Like all the weird shit that guys are into, feet and everything. Like there's just weird categories of stuff that people, will be into. But anyway, I'm getting way off topic. The hating women part. I think it's like this. It's like, okay, ladies, if a guy tells you, hey, I just want to fuck. I don't want to be in a relationship. I just want to have sex with you. You know what I mean? You may want the relationship, right? You may be mad at him. You may feel some type of way. But if this dude is everything that you want and he's high value and all the other stuff, but he was honest with you and told you the truth, how mad can you be? Are you as mad as the guy that lied to you, said, I love you, I want to be with you, I want to marry you, I want to this and that? Which guy are you more mad at? The guy that straight lied to you and told you a bunch of bullshit, or the guy that told you what the deal is from go? You know what I'm saying? Most people really cannot stand being lied to. And it's just like even with America as a country. You know, I was reading some statistics somewhere talking about immigrants were leaving the country and going back home. Why? Because what America sells, it's the land of opportunity, and come here and anybody can make it, and America is inclusive. We're a loving, inclusive society, right? And America is like one of the most racist societies that are out here. But it doesn't want that to be its reputation. It doesn't want that to be its face, right? Some would argue that America is not the most racist. It's just the fact that we do have the reality of having to deal with multiple races. So that's where the racism bubbles to the surface, where if you go into these other countries, they're very homogenous societies, and you're not going to see the racists because everybody's the same thing. You don't see it until, some immigrants start moving in, and then next thing you know, xenophobia is popping up all over the place. And it's true. I'll give people that argument. I'm just saying that when you sell one thing and that's not what it is, people are going to feel some type of way. They're going to be pissed. They're going to be angry. They're going to feel betrayed. And they're not going to believe you in the future. They're just not. They're not going to trust you in the future. And I think that one of the ugly realities of all these gender war conversations in examining female nature, because let's face it, we weren't examining male nature. We were examining female nature. And even the counter arguments that women have tried to make against men as a collective don't work, because they only want like 20% of the men and less. So it doesn't work. It doesn't apply. In order to be a man that's a dog, you got to be getting some pussy. You got to get some ass in order to be that dude. You got to get some ass. Women got to want to deal with you in order for you to break their hearts. They got to be attracted to you. They got to want to be with you. They got to be busting it wide open for you. If you're not that dude, then that can't apply to you. No matter how much women try to make it apply, it can't apply. What are you going to do? Blame the dude for creating all these bastard kids out here that's not getting any pussy? That doesn't make any sense. You see, so women's counter arguments don't stick. Yeah, it sticks to that 10 to 20%, but it doesn't stick to the vast majority of men. But men, on the other hand, examining female nature, again, 100% of women only want to get with 20% of dudes. You really got to look at those numbers. Women are having bad experiences with 20% of dudes. Men are having bad experiences with 100% of the women, or 80, 90% of the women, the majority of the women. It's the same situation for their reality for the average man. And so this goes back to the whole, why are you lying to me? See, a lot of society coddles women with making women the vanguards of morality, the virtue signalers, that society would just be chaos and war if it wasn't for women and their kindness and their justice, right? And their soothing motherly qualities, right? That's what men are told about women. That's what we're told. And then you're hit with the ugly reality that it's all about, women only want to fuck with the men in the winner's circle. And usually that's tied to, money and power, resources and power. That's what it's tied to. So basically, none of the other bullshit that women told you fucking matters. None of it matters. You know what I mean? The kindness, all this shit, whether you're a nice guy, none of that fucking matters. All that's put in the simp bin. Right? And then men gotta sit here, and we go out here and we see the ugly reality, of the shit. We see the ugly reality where you have women who are where you have women, hold on a second. Where you have women who, what was I going to say? I went blank because I was messing with the the dials on something. Damn, what was I gonna say? Hold on 1 second. Women who go out here and they get with the guy that doesn't treat them right and keep going back to it. I mean, there's so many examples. There's enough videos of women talking about, why women like bad boys, why women like men that, don't want to commit all this shit, they want the chase, they want all this, what they can't have and all that stuff, which flies in the face of of what women will say that they want and say that, that what they're looking for. And the same thing applies to, even the women that are like, oh, I'm a feminist, and then turn around, I don't want to pay substantial bills, I want a man to take care of me, I want the option of not having to work. I'm like, what happened? I'm a boss, bitch, I'm strong, independent, everything else like that. And then you start seeing the, wanting to have their cake and eat it too. I want to be a boss bitch, but I also want him to pay for everything. I want to have my own money so that I can buck his decisions, or, have the I don't know what you call it, like the leverage to, okay, if he breaks up with me or he leaves me, I can go off and I can, do my own thing, or even do my own thing during the marriage. And the thing is, I don't even knock a woman, wanting to have her own nest egg and all that other stuff, but I'm like, the idea that you're going to simultaneously use that to buck, his decisions or not be submissive to him whenever it is you so decide, despite the fact that 85% of the time he's paying for everything, he's the one laying the foundation, and you have no issue being on his ship until the moment that you disagree. Then all of a sudden it's fuck you, I got my own ship, everything else like that. Like, these are the type of things that make men hate women as people. It makes women look like they're horrible people. It's not a matter of men hate women just off of the fact that they're women and they don't have a penis. That's bullshit. That's the same crap that the white people run around with those Muslims, they hate us because they hate our freedom. Like when they're talking about 9/11. Like, really, your freedom, bro? They hate you because they flew them planes into your buildings because of your freedom? Like, that's that off-base, like, tone-deaf talk. No, the men that get into they don't like women. They don't like women not because they're women. They don't like women because women are not honest and women are not truthful, and they want to uphold this sort of image. It's like from the black perspective, it's the same thing that, like, I'd say about white people in America. You know what I mean? They don't want to be labeled as racist, but then they go off and they do racist shit. And then when black people are like, I can't stand these crackers, these white motherfuckers, right? When black people jump up and they say that, then white people are like, oh, reverse racism. Why do they hate us? Right? But I'm like, and they're saying this, and you're like, of the two of us, only one of us walked into a fucking supermarket and then gunned down the people of another race. Like, fuck are you talking? Only one of us has walked into a church and shot the church up full of a bunch of elderly black people. Fuck are you talking about? And that's what it's like dealing with women. It's like, yo, you like it makes men think that just women are they're selfish. And maybe that's the biology of women. I'm not even going to knock it, but it's like, stop the cap. Like, I do understand the fact that, it is a biological imperative because, a woman carries the child, a woman is pregnant. If you've ever seen a pregnant woman, they're not capable. They're not capable people. Maybe we could argue and monitor society. She can work this, that, and the third. But I'm saying the millennia of evolution of a woman when she's pregnant and how vulnerable she is, it makes sense that she wants to get with a guy that she's going to think is going to be, committed and provide and has resources and has the strength and the resilience, in this harsh ass world. That makes sense. But there's a lot of things going on that are very contradictory to that. You know what I mean? Like, and part of the problem is the state comes in and incentivizes a lot of bad behavior on the part of women. And they just get away with it. And when men try to call it out, oh, you just hate women and equal rights and feminism and this, that, and the third. And you're like, what? Huh? How do you not see this? We can talk about child custody laws and the courts and everything. I mean, we can go through the whole gambit. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But is it gambit or gambit? Gambit. I think it's gambit. Anyway. So like it's just it just makes you realize like it's like women, it's all about women's actions. It's not about what they say. So then you can't believe what women say. You start recognizing the patterns of their behavior, especially now. The online, I think men hate women more than they used to hate women. For those that hated women, those that hated women before was like, oh, they're mad they can't get any women, and that was kind of like the end of it. But now, like with all of the bad behavior that's been exposed on all these, YouTube channels, where like Kevin Samuels and the women calling in and all that others, all this sort of bad behavior, it's been exposed. And the thing is, it's like, that's not even just black women. That's all Western women. If you're a black man in 2022 and you're sitting there acting like, white women are some sort of refuge, Western white women are a refuge, you're out of your mind. Dude should pretty much only be talking about getting a chick overseas at this point. I'm saying, if you want to talk about, the issues that with Western women. But I mean, you see all the white MGTOW channels, you see all their channels. Then you got the black men with their channels, right? You got even Asian men with their channels talking about Asian women thirsting for white dudes, and the ridiculousness, that all of this, hypergamy talk, and we only want the 10% of top 10%, 20% of dudes, has gotten. And it's like, things are so far away from like the past, it's ridiculous. And men are trying to figure out, okay, well, what are they going to do? Like, what are they going to do with their life? That window of dating is very small window. You know what I mean? Like, I'm saying if you live until you're 80, 40 is the halfway point. You know what I'm saying? And people find relationships, are supposed to find relationships before that. Then on top of that, for women, that window is even smaller because men want younger women, more fertile women. You know what I mean? So in the coming years, we're going to have a lot of lonely, miserable people. And it's not good for society. You want that amount of angry men. When, again, going back to Undead Chronic, angry men are violent. And it's like, I already know that women aren't even going to be truthful about that. They're not even going to be truthful about, we see this now. If some woman gets deleted that's playing games with a man's children and she gets deleted, the women are like, violence against women, and men and misogyny, and men are just so violent and toxic masculinity and everything. And it's like, we can never examine the fact that she was fucking around with that dude's kids. And the only time women will even acknowledge that is when you get into like the grandmother of the son of the young man or something like that. We've seen this with women whose sons have been falsely accused of rape, and it's like he just gets expelled. There's no examination, there's no cross examination. You know what I'm saying? And we saw this with the Hofstra players, we saw this with the Duke players, we saw this with Brian Banks. We saw this with Marcus Dixon. These are the two black football players that got accused of rape, one by a black female, the other by a white female. These sorts of things. So everything's like geared to protect women, even when women are lying. And the thing is like, it goes back to what Jordan Peterson said. Like, women will use slander, they will use innuendo, they will use character assassinations, in order to invoke their power. They will use, as Dr. T. Son Johnson says, they'll use proxy violence. Going back to Merlin Santana from the Steve Harvey show. That girl went and told two other black men that she had been violated. And they went back and they killed Merlin Santana. Shit like that. Lying on niggas' dicks. You know what I mean? But for some reason, the society just refuses, to cross-examine women harshly. And so, we like it, despite all this equality talk that we hear, it's so contradictory. It's just insane, and it's frustrating for men, and it angers men, and it pisses them off, and it can potentially lead then to violence against women. But I mean, it's like when you're talking about, what makes a good person. A good person is honest and truthful. A good person genuinely cares for others. I'm not saying that they have to go out there and be, self-sacrificing. You know what I mean? But a good person, what people generally would say is a good person is not a selfish person. And that's what modern men see from modern women today. Extremely selfish people. And I mean, don't even make me sit there and bring up, all this stuff with the men that go through child custody and court battles and the self-deletion and all that stuff. Again, the only women that will be honest about that are those that lose their sons to another woman's manipulation. Those are the only women that will really speak on this shit. Other women are going to side with women. Again, we can argue female nature. They're going to bond with women about it, and that's pretty much what we get. So we can never get to the core of an issue. Like, I mean, women are, in my opinion, women are more protected than any minority group. Any minority group. When I say minority group, like if you want to, like you got this, black people, anti-blackness, racism. You got anti-Asianness. You got, anti-Mexicans or something like that. Anti-LGBT. I think that the anti-women is the weakest of them all, despite the fact that people will try to make like women, like they'll be like, oh, women are the most vulnerable and women are the most attacked and da 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 da. I'm like, nah. I'm like, not how I see it. Not from where I'm standing. Women got hella protections in there. On top of the fact that men need women. Men are attracted to women. Men lust women. Men desire women. Men want to be in relationships with women. Men want to be loved by women. All these things. It's like when I listen to a white feminist, sit there and be like, and she's like hates white men, and she's like, yeah, black guy, we're on the same team. We're on the same. I'm like, bitch, you sleep next to power. Like, fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not doing you like he's doing us. If he purges us and wipes us off of the face, that's no sweat off of his back. That's more resources for him. But he can't do the same thing to you. You're his female counterpart. He can't continue white supremacy without making white babies. Like, fuck are you talking about, bitch? You know what I'm saying? Like, they try to put us in the same category because she's a woman and I'm a black man, and therefore, the great evil in the world is white patriarchal men. I'm like, fuck out of here, bitch. You sleep next to power. Hell, the fucking with the white men that I gotta fucking deal with that are on some racist shit, who fucking raised them, bitch? I mean, fuck out of here. 85% of the teachers are white females and black boys are failing. Fuck out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, white women, that's like a whole different lane. But I'm just saying, in general, talking about all women across the board in modern society, and this, what women want to say is men's hatred of women. Like, there's reasons behind that shit for those that do. Understanding female nature makes shit a lot worse. It makes shit a lot worse for men. I'm just putting that out there. It's not like, guys are like, oh, whatever. No, it's worse. Because you understand the selfish motivations behind what they do, and then they wear this mask like they're not like that. Like they're these angelic beings and shit like that. And truth be told, if men took women off that angelic pedestal and treated them like regular human beings or regular people, which women, truth be told, they don't want. They like female privilege. They like female. They don't like being treated like children, but they like female privilege. Not understanding that you can't have both. Nobody's gonna put you on a pedestal and then you turn around and call it pedestal oppression. I'm like, bitch, you're on a pedestal. Yes, but I can't control things from the pedestal. I'm like, that's not what a pedestal is for. Pedestal is worship. Pedestal is idealization. Pedestal is put like see that picture of Jesus? Like, yeah, like you're like right next to that. That's what pedestals are. But when men realize that women are not that and they're just human beings and they have their selfish tendencies and shit like that, the pedestalization is going to be removed. And to a lot of women, you know, as we say about white supremacy, you know what I mean? Somebody who's been existing in privilege for a long time, when you take away the privilege, it looks like oppression to them. And that's what we're dealing with. You know, when it comes to, you know, the men that quote unquote hate women. You know, it's like again, it's like all that stuff that they were taught, all that stuff that even many women will teach as mothers. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. And that's why you have, you know, the growth of all these, male-centered channels that are giving young men advice, especially in this, you know, post-marriage era of, you know, so many young men that are growing up without their fathers or without contact from their fathers. So they're not getting the real information. They're getting the bullshit from mom. And then they go out there on some dorky shit and then they get gobbled the fuck up and eaten, you know, in the real world. And then it takes a while for them to sort that out. Meanwhile, they're getting their heart ripped out of their chest, Kano style from Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? They're getting their emotions stepped on, all that shit. And then you expect these men to come out whole after all of that. You know what I mean? Nah, they can very much come out on some incel shit or some black pill shit. Because they weren't told the truth from go. At least if you have information, you can kind of be balanced about that. You can listen to a chick can lie to your face in real time, and you can your half of your brain can go, now you know that was some bullshit, but let's play this game, right? And then you can navigate, right? Which is what smooth guys do, players, all that other stuff. They know what is bullshit that's coming out of women's mouth in real time. But guys that subscribe to the pedestalization of women don't know that. And they will put in time and effort and energy and money only to discover that it's all for naught, that they were being used and manipulated. And if you think that you're not going to have a bunch of anger that comes out of that, you're sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. So, I don't know what else to say about all of this, you know, but you want my opinion on, you know, what do I think about the men that hate women? Like, this is my opinion on it. That shit doesn't come out of just the void, you know, like the fucking 19 guys that hijacked the planes in 9/11, you know. They hate us because of our freedom. They hate us because of who we are as Americans. Like, that's not the type of anger that you dismiss. Somebody does some shit like that, that's not anger you dismiss. And in my opinion, dismissing men's anger and dismissing men's point is a very dangerous thing, when speaking on, the greater society. It's a very dangerous thing. It's as dangerous as the shit with the boomers of, yes, we're going to sell the idea of, the wife and the kids and the White House with the picket fence and the two cats and the dog. And then we're going to strip all that away from a generation and then tell them that they need to go out there and work and my bootstraps. And that they have no hopes of buying property. They have no hopes of laying a foundation. They have no hopes of being in a relationship and being married. They have no hopes. That's a very dangerous situation. And those two things, in my opinion, are very similar to one another. I'm like, you don't go out here and lie to people and waste their time like that, and then at the freaking 11th hour, fourth quarter, 30 seconds on the clock, you decide to just say, oh, by the way, that's not what it is. That's not really what I'm on, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's a bad idea. Bad idea. But again, you can't convince women of that. They're not going to come together and have a consensus about it. It's selfishness all the way. We're going to go out here and we're going to milk it until the damn wheels fall off. And I'm like, okay. I'm saying you got what, 330 million people in this country? About just under half of that is men. You know what I mean? I'm like just out of that alone. So you talking like, like what, 115 million men, let's just say, in this society. And I'm like, that's a lot of men for there to be, multiple incidences on the news of dudes just blacking out and doing some crazy shit. So you're going to see that. You're going to hear some crazy shit, and the feminists are going to go, oh, he hates women, even though like 99% of men would never do anything like that. But there's always going to be some man out there that's going to just fucking snap and go ballistic. Just the same way as the racial stuff. They go online, talking crazy about black people and this, that, and the third. And next thing you know, dudes, oh, it's the great replacement. And then, somebody eventually is going to act on that. Why I think is the solution? I think the solution is actually having honest conversation and honest dialogue, as opposed to, selling people up the river on this bullshit. You know what I mean? Because in my opinion, that's what creates the anger and the resentment. Anyway, that's all I got for you. That's my video. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. SWP, and I'm out.